Today, we're creating something truly special, or should I say spectacularly unspectacular. We're going to craft the absolute weakest character in One Piece history. Now you might be thinking, but wait, isn't Spandam already pretty useless? Spandam is practically Whitebeard compared to our character. Let's call him Flop D Blunder. So buckle up, because we're about to set sail on the most hilariously pathetic journey in the history of the Grand Line. We'll break down the key traits that define strength in the One Piece universe, and show you how Flop manages to botch every single one of them. Number 1. Devil Fruit Power. Let's start with the cornerstone of many a powerful character in One Piece, the Devil Fruit. These mystical fruits grant their users incredible abilities, often turning the tide of battle. We've seen fruits that allow users to control elements, transform into mythical creatures, or even manipulate the very fabric of reality. And then there's Jujutsu no Mi. This paramecia-type fruit grants Flop the incredible power of becoming an immobile statue for short periods. While other Devil Fruit users are shooting lasers from their eyes or turning into fire, our boy Flop just stops moving. This transformation is completely involuntary and often triggers at the most inconvenient times. Imagine Flop facing off against a fearsome pirate, drawing his weapon dramatically, opening his mouth for a battle cry, and then poof, statue time. Number 2. Hockey Proficiency. Now you might be thinking, okay, so he's got a useless Devil Fruit, but sure, he makes up for it with hockey, right? Well, let me introduce you to Flop D Blunder, the hockeyless wonder. In a world where hockey is as common as seawater, our character stands out as a beacon of ineptitude. Observation hockey? More like oblivious hockey. While others can sense presences and predict movements, Flop couldn't detect an elephant in a phone booth. He's more likely to walk into a wall than dodge an incoming attack. Armament hockey? Flop's idea of hardening his body is to tense up and hope for the best. The only thing he's ever managed to harden is his resolve to run away from fights. And Conqueror's hockey? The only thing Flop can overwhelm is people's patience. His attempts at intimidation are so pitiful that enemies often feel compelled to attack him out of secondhand embarrassment. In a universe where even non-combatants like Otohime could use observation hockey, Flop's complete lack of hockey abilities is truly impressive. He's living proof that some people are just immune to personal growth. Number 3. Combat Skills. Alright, so he's got no Devil Fruit powers to speak of, and hockey is as foreign to him as the concept of victory. But surely he must have some basic combat skills, right? Well, Flop's combat training consists entirely of watching other people fight and thinking, wow, I could never do that. And boy, is he right. His fighting stance looks less like a warrior ready for battle, and more like someone trying not to fall over on a rocking ship. His reflexes are so poor that he once managed to dodge directly into an attack. It was the only time he successfully dodged anything, and it was in the wrong direction. As for combat instincts, well, let's just say Flop's fight-or-flight response is more of a freeze and hope they don't notice me response. He once tried to counter an attack by closing his eyes and wishing really hard that he was somewhere else. Number 4. Navigation and Survival Skills. Now you might be thinking, okay, so he's useless in a fight, but surely he must have some other skills to contribute to a crew, right? Like navigation or basic survival skills. Flop's sense of direction makes Zoro look like a human GPS. He once got lost going from the crow's nest to the deck, on a ship with only one mast. His crew has seriously considered tying a bell around his neck, just so they can find him when he inevitably wanders off. As for survival skills, well, let's just say Flop considers not immediately dying to be a successful day. He once tried to start a fire by rubbing 2 fish together. His attempt at building a shelter resulted in what can only be described as a leaf-based death trap. Number 5. Physical Strength. Alright, so he can't fight, he can't navigate, and can't survive on his own. But surely he must have some basic physical strength, right? I mean, this is One Piece, where even normal humans can perform incredible feats of strength. Flop's physical prowess is so lacking that he once lost an arm wrestling match to a particularly robust blade of grass. His stamina is so low that he gets tired just watching other people exercise. In fact, the mere thought of physical exertion is enough to make him break out in a sweat. But perhaps the most impressive, or should I say unimpressive aspect of Flop's physical capabilities is his uncanny ability to injure himself doing the most mundane tasks. He once managed to get a paper cut from a rubber ball. Don't ask how, we're still trying to figure that one out. Number 6. Intelligence and Strategy. Flop's strategic thinking is so backward that he once suggested they escape a marine blockade by swimming really fast underwater. When reminded about the whole Devil Fruit users can't swim thing, he proposed they run really fast on top of the water instead. His decision-making skills are so poor that even Luffy thinks twice before following his suggestions. Flop once tried to negotiate with a Sea King by offering it a sandwich. Needless to say, that didn't end well. Number 7. Charisma and Leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Flop D Blunder, the uninspirational speaker. Flop's attempts at rallying the crew are so underwhelming that they often have the opposite effect. His battle cry of "let's try not to die too quickly" has yet to strike fear into the hearts of any enemies. In fact, the only thing Flop has ever successfully rallied is a group of people trying to get away from him. His leadership skills are so non-existent that he once got lost while leading a single-file line. He's the only person in the history of piracy to be unanimously voted least likely to ever become captain by his own imaginary crew. Number 8. Weapon Proficiency. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so he's not a natural leader or fighter, but surely he can handle a basic weapon, right? Even Usopp managed to become a skilled sniper. Flop's weapon skills are so abysmal that he's considered a greater threat to himself than to any enemy. He once managed to tangle himself up in nunchucks without even opening the package they came in. His swordsmanship is so poor that his crew seriously considered replacing his sword with a foam rubber toy, for everyone's safety. The one time he managed to unsheath his sword without incident, he was so shocked that he promptly dropped it on his foot. As for marksmanship, well, let's just say Flop couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if he was standing inside it. His aim is so bad that enemies have been known to stand perfectly still, secure in the knowledge that any projectile from Flop will miss them by a mile. Number 9. Endurance and Stamina. Alright, so he can't fight, can't lead, and can't use weapons. But surely he must have some basic endurance, right? I mean, this is One Piece, where characters routinely take punches that would level buildings and keep on fighting. Flop's stamina is so low that he once got winded trying to blow out a candle. His idea of an endurance test is seeing how long he can stand up without leaning on something. In battle, Flop's endurance is measured not in hours or even minutes, but in seconds. He once fainted from exhaustion while putting on his battle armor. By the time he regained consciousness, the fight was over, the ship had sailed to a new island, and someone had used him as a coat rack. His recovery time is so slow that he's still feeling the effects of a pillow fight he lost when he was 5. In a world where characters can fight for days on end, Flop gets tired just thinking about exercise. But perhaps the most impressive, or should I say unimpressive aspect of Flop's lack of endurance is his ability to exhaust himself doing absolutely nothing. He once broke out in a sweat while taking a nap. Number 10. Determination and Willpower. Finally, we come to perhaps the most important trait in the One Piece world, determination and willpower. This is the quality that allows characters to push beyond their limits, to stand up against impossible odds, to declare that they're going to be the Pirate King even when the world laughs at them. And then, there's Flop. Flop D. Blunder, the spirit of giving up, is a marvel of anti-determination. His willpower is so weak that he once gave up on giving up because it seemed like too much effort. His life motto is, if at first you don't succeed, well, you probably shouldn't have tried in the first place. While other characters are powering through injuries that would kill a normal person, Flop is calling it quits because his socks got wet. His idea of perseverance is managing to complain for more than 5 minutes straight. So there you have it, folks. Flop D. Blunder, the weakest character in One Piece history. He's so bad at pirating that the Marines are considering hiring him as an anti-recruitment poster boy for aspiring pirates. But you know what? In a weird way, Flop is kind of inspiring. I mean, if this guy can somehow survive in the world of One Piece, then maybe there's hope for all of us. Or maybe it's just plot armor so thick it makes Pika look small. Either way, the next time you're feeling down about your own abilities, just remember Flop. No matter how bad you think you are, at least you're not trying to navigate the Grand Line with a fruit that turns you into a statue and the survival skills of a particularly suicidal lemming. So what do you think? Could you create an even weaker character? Let me know in the comments, and remember, stay strong, stay determined, and for the love of all that's holy, don't be like Flop. See you in the next one, guys!